Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined once again by Nate Weitzer back on the East Coast. And we are looking at Friday night play props here for May the 19th in this Eastern Conference Finals matchup here between the Celtics and the Heat. Game 2, obviously the Heat are up 1-0. We've got a best bets video up for you as well, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us all postseason long. You can also head to thelines.com, check out all the great written content we're putting up there for you guys, and use the odds finder tool that we are using each and every time we're making these player props picks to shop those lines across these U.S. sports books and all the offerings that they are giving us. I had a solid game 1 there for this series and plenty of futures bets as well that are still alive. Hope you guys check that out. 70% clip there on the player props. The only thing that failed to hit was Jason Tatum going over on his rebounds. Only got 7, even though he had 6 through the first 2 quarters. So we move on here, looking to continue that streak with your first NBA player prop, Nate.
Yeah, we're going with the others here. Not necessarily big names, but a low total for a guy like Derrick White. Even up money to get 9 points. Or I would put half a unit on that and also on him to get 11 points / assists. I'm just hoping that Mazzulla's adjustments are going to involve giving him more minutes. I mean, he's an ultra competitive guy who kind of gives them a different, angle in terms of just his offensive and defensive game. We saw him make some great defensive plays, all year, but also in game 1, in his 21 minutes, he got 11 points. He was struggling against the Sixers. I'm not necessarily sure if that translates to this matchup against the Heat. He, in the regular season against the Heat with the Celtics, he's averaging 14 points per game in 29 minutes, and along with nearly 4 assists. And last year, he did also struggle in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Heat, but, still over the course of the playoffs, averaged nearly 13 a game. And he's just a much better offensive player this year, mainly because he's hitting threes. And that's where he got 9 of those 11 points in game 1. He's shooting 44% in these playoffs versus 31% last year. And, much better all around, 129 offensive rating versus 101 last year. So, either way, the Celtics are really only playing 7, maybe 8 guys, as we often see in the playoffs. So he should be guaranteed around 25 minutes. But I would like to see Mazzulla mix and match a little bit more, maybe go with some smaller lineups and see what they can do. Because, yeah, they got outfoxed in the second half there, and something's got to change.
How did you feel about Mazzulla's Peyton Pritchard minutes?
Yeah, I don't think we need those. I think let's not go that small.
Okay, yeah, you said small. I just wanted to see how small we were talking. But maybe we rescind those 11 minutes for Mr. Pritchard there and see if we can get Derrick White on the floor for more than 20. I would concur with that logic on the 8.5. I was looking at him. I'm going to talk about him. You know what? I'm just going to go to him right now, actually, because I want to talk about my Boston 3-party parlay. Obviously stealing the old Sports Center commercial. I'm not trying to claim that. But there's a few things I'm looking at here, and I am sort of on team raining threes basically for the Celtics in this one, which is the reason I would be scared to go +9 on the Heat, but I'm not confidently taking -9 for the Celtics either way. I'm just talking about points for that team, and I think that's going to come in the form of a lot of threes. So Horford, White, Brogdon. You could take them all to get 2 + 3s in a same game parlay with on DraftKings, and then Tatum you could add to that for him to get 3 threes. That's the biggest one there. That's all the guys I'm looking at, and that all 3 of that's 4 guys there. If you put them all 4 together, rather, that's +575. Maybe a quarter unit on that, but then mix and match with that, because the one I'm least confident in between all of this is Horford and White, to be honest. Horford has too many games this postseason where he's doesn't stop chucking them, but he doesn't start making them. And one has been a common number for his made threes in these playoffs for Horford. Derrick White, the minutes scare me. The 20 minutes that he played in game 1, it's still enough for him to get 2 threes. He can hit it in the first quarter, which we've seen a number of times. But he needs to get those shots up early if he's going to be not playing as much. So that's the other one. Brogdon's going to be out there another 32 to 35 minutes. Tatum, obviously 42 plus. So like the shot attempts for them, and Tatum knows that his lack of shooting in the last game, while they were going to the rack fine, like they need him to also be able to hit some shots there. He only took 3 threes. So all those guys, you could even take out Tatum for the 3 threes, and you've still got 3 guys making 2. All these could still add up to about 360, 370 on you 3.5 to 1 on your money there. So I feel good about that. And I'm following the logic of like my eyes have seen them hit so many threes in game 2s after losing a game 1 that I'm like, isn't it going to happen again? If they're scoring that many points, I do think it's going to come in this form. So, they hit 15 in game 2 versus Atlanta. They hit 20 in game 2 versus Philly. I was after both, a sort of subpar performances from deep in the game 1s in both those series as well, where they hit 13 in game 1 versus Atlanta, 10 in game 1 versus Philly. And in both those games, they dominated the paint, which opened up the 3-point shooting in game 2 in both those series. They are averaging 17 made threes against that in 3 games this season versus the Heat, where they had all their players. One game they were missing Smart, Horford, Jaylen Brown. So whatever you want to do with that one, they only made 10 in that one, and that was in January. But the other 3, like I said, 17 made threes a game against the Heat. So it's something they can clearly do. And those are the guys that I like to do it in this one, including, like I said, Derrick White.
Yeah, I would definitely try to trim this down though. Like a 4-leg parlay for hitting 2+ threes is tough on a team where you have 6 legit shooters too. So I mean, even if they hit a bunch as a team, one of these guys could be left out in the cold. But yeah, it's a fun little angle, the 3 party. But I'm taking another grit and grind guy here from Miami, Caleb Martin. And I was gonna do just 10 points, but they're tacking on 5 points in rebounds and assists, so 15.5 PRA is the pick here. It's nearly even money at MGM, the best price I found on the opening here. And I mean, it's easy to tack on the rebounds assists because he's gotten at least 6 in 4 straight playoff games here, averaging in fact nearly 7. Along with 11 points per game in that span. Clearly a guy who got an extra confidence boost when Jimmy had to miss game 2 against the Knicks. He goes for 22 and 8 on elevated usage, and he's been playing really well ever since. He's obviously a better matchup for Miami than Kevin Love, who starts. He played 16 minutes in game 1 and managed to walk away with 8 points and 6 rebounds. And I don't quite have the balls to say under on his 11.5 or to click it myself. But honestly, I think he probably doesn't play any more than that. And it's hard to rack up stats in that limited amount of time against this team. But the point is like that means Caleb Martin's playing power forward. He's a much better matchup to deal with Tatum or Brown. And he's just a really good baller, man. I mean, he's just like comes with a great attitude. A great guy to play off Jimmy, who understands how to catch and go or to just shoot the 3 with confidence. He really fits into what they do, and is an underrated part of this playoff run thus far. So I mean, 28 minutes per game in the last 7 here. He's averaging 11 points and 5 rebounds. You don't even need an assist to get him over this PRA. So I would keep riding Caleb Martin.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. Caleb Martin is like basically Josh Hart. Honestly, with like maybe a better 3-point shot, plays bigger than his size, has a ton of, chutzpah and really just brings it, like, isn't concerned with padding his stats outside of probably rebounds, which he loves to get. So yeah, I was looking at Caleb Martin myself and saw that you had already taken him. So I stayed away from that while you were talking about it, but I love everything about him. I'm following the minutes too, man. Like he's going to be out there in the 4th quarter. He's the guy that they have out there instead of, like you said, instead of Kevin Love. They even gave Gabe Vincent those minutes in game 1. I just don't love Gabe Vincent's usage rate or really how many shots he's getting up. He's really more of like a first quarter scorer and definitely not as much in the second half. And he also got 4 free throws in that last game that you can rely on for Vincent. His prop is low as well at about 10.5 points. So that's something just to kind of add on, maybe you consider. But let me actually just finish with an old reliable, another Heat other, my boy Max Strus. I'm going to name my first son Max at this point. And it's not my fault, man. They refuse to raise his points prop to 14.5 points where it should be every single game. It should be 14.5. Then I'd have a quandary and then I wouldn't know what to do. But while it stands at 11.5 in the first game, only up to 12.5 with still pretty much even money in the second game after he just played 34 minutes in game one. So I'm really loving what I'm seeing from him. I'm loving what I'm seeing all over the place from Jimmy Butler. He made a really interesting comment the other day about just being appreciated, loving to be appreciated. And that's why he also, that's something he's wanted since he was in Chicago, wasn't appreciated, or in Minnesota, in Philly. All those places just said, nah, we're good on you as a superstar. And now look at what he's doing with Miami another year in a row. And that all leads me to the confidence that he's instilling, and the fact that he says to guys like, shoot the ball. I'm passing you the ball, so you shoot it. And Max Strus is that guy who had who only had 5 3-point attempts in this game, 10 field goal attempts, which is low for him. He's been shooting the ball about 10 times from 3-point alone, with about 13 field goal attempts per game. His usage rate's been about 20% since that Knicks series after game one, when they realized, why is Strus only playing 25 minutes again? And so then he was back up to about 28 to 30 in each of those games. Saw 34 in game one. He only attempted 1 field goal in the first half, and he made it, had 2 points. But in the second half, he had the second highest usage rate on the team at 22%. He had an 151 individual offensive rating, and key to keeping him on the floor was that 91 individual defensive rating, where he's playing good D on various guys as he switches between all the rotating guards that your Celtics team is able to throw out there. He went 5 for 9 from the field in the second half, including 3 of 5 from deep. So I expect him to at least have another half like that, if not, a few more field goal attempts than 1 like he had in the first half. And that should get us back up to about 13 field goal attempts. And if he's hitting, he's hitting 37% of his threes at 10, a little bit more than 10 attempts a game since that game 2 against the Knicks. So the last 6 games that he's played, and like, if he's going to maintain that level of usage and volume, then even if he only hits 2 of those threes, he still gets to the line a few times a game. I just love Max Strus, so I'm going to stop cavelling over him, and you tell me if I'm blinded by love.
No, you're right. I mean, this is the old Duncan Robinson role from like 3 years ago, where Jimmy literally said to him, your job is to shoot first, like shoot no matter what, basically. I don't care who is draped on you. And they're drawing up plays for him. But it's impressive to see that Strus can also get it going inside the arc as well, which you say, just like a couple 3-point attempts last game, still gets his prop. So if he's able to kind of supplement that, then I think going with the points again, which is basically what I said last time he took this pick, the points are good. Not necessarily just taking him to hit 3 threes, which, he certainly can do. He's probably going to take closer to 10 in a game that they'll probably be chasing points a little bit more.
Also the truth. Yeah, if you think, like I do, that the Celtics will be raining down threes and will take closer to 50 this game than the 29 that they took anyway in the last one, I genuinely think they're going to at least be at 40. Then, they're going to need to combat that a little bit. I know Miami doesn't want to get into that form of battle, and then they might even slow it down a bit if they see things getting like that. If their guys aren't hitting, I know they're going to keep pulling, but there is also, Jimmy going to the line and them slowing it down. Even if that's the case, like you said, Strus is still able to be that guy that can play inside the arc a lot more, even with Rob Will getting a few more minutes. So that's all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets we also have up for you for this game too. And until we see you next, happy betting.